Okay. So, we know that the Blackbeard Pirates are supposed to be important, right? Like, they're meant to be this crew that whenever they show up, we should be worried. But, like, legitimately speaking, are we? Really? Because here's the thing. While we know that they're going to be important later, how much do we actually care about them right now? Think about it. How much have they actually done? Like, not Blackbeard himself, we'll get to him, but his crew specifically. Before Egghead, when was the last time that you were actually worried about seeing a Blackbeard pirate show up specifically? Be honest. Now, if you happen to enjoy this video, leave a like for the algorithm, subscribe for more. I'm just trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on this channel. Now, look, alright, Blackbeard himself, he works. Like, he really works as Luffy's rival. I completely get it. And it's not just because he's strong, or because he has crazy devil fruit powers. It's because Oda actually took the time to build him up properly. Because remember, Jaya, that wasn't just some sort of random meeting. That was Oda showing us exactly how these two are different, you know? Same dream, completely different ways of chasing it. While Luffy was out there reinforcing the idea told to him of a man's dream will never die, Blackbeard's basically saying, oh yeah, actually, let me also tell you about hedonism, because I love it. And then, well, look at how he operates, right? While Luffy broke into Impel Down through the front to save his brother, Blackbeard is even the reason why Ace was there. He also played cleanup crew and comes out of there with a team from prisoners that Luffy had freed. And Shiryu, who didn't really need any convincing to begin with. Luffy fought to save his brother at Marineford and failed. Ah, darn, you know, hurts. Blackbeard showed up to kill Whitebeard, who was, you know, like originally his dad, in quotes, and steal his devil fruit. Then he was successful. And you know, Luffy built his crew through trust. Blackbeard, he recruited like-minded people, and that's as similar as they get while still contrasting. Now that's, you know, like that's how you build a rival. They kind of like had every time they had something going for Luffy, Blackbeard had something like maybe like a few steps later and all that. But let's do an experiment, right? Try to name something significant that Van Augur did before Egghead. Like anything at all. Right? Besides the Devil Fruit thing. I know that you were going to say that, right? I don't know. Maybe you weren't. Well, if you're having trouble, you know, that's because despite being introduced way back in Jaya, he's only now getting some real action. And he's supposed to be Usopp's rival. And Usopp's been getting a bunch of stuff since then. Our guy has been in the story longer than some of the Straw Hats, and he's basically done nothing until now. And it's not just him. Okay, look at the rest, right? Now, Jesus Burgess is actually kind of interesting here because he's the closest thing we have to what rivalries should look like, because he actually showed up in Dressrosa and fought. He got demolished by Sabo, sure, but, you know, at least he was there. But then remember, he managed to sneak onto Sabo's ship afterwards, and that led to the Blackbeard Pirates finding and attacking the Revolutionary Army's base in Baltigo. That's wild. That's actual involvement in the story. That's what we should be seeing from all these guys. But then, you know, look at the others. Doc Q? It's barely shown. Shiryu? He got an invisible fruit off screen. Cool power. And, you know, it was actually like an interesting off screen moment because it did a whole reveal and all that. But, you know, we didn't see that happen. It's fine. It was a good reveal. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, it falls into the category of, you know, off screen beard. Devon. Interesting conversation with Saturn. That was good. That's still Egghead though. But, you know, aside from that, you know, that's everything else out the window. Vasco shot? Like, what are we working with on that? San Juan Wolf, the colossal battleship. Yet we've barely seen him do anything colossal or battleship-like. Pizarro? We know that, you know, he's an heir to a kingdom in the north of blue, but, you know, that's all we know. That's all that happened. And Lafayette, you know, this was supposed to be their guy and their navigator who's sneaky enough to infiltrate a marine meeting, but what has he actually done since then? He's given us information, for sure, that's good. That's not enough. People give us information all the time. These aren't just random crew members, right? They're supposed to be our endgame antagonists and counterparts to the Straw Hats. The people our Straw Hats are supposed to fight, you know? It's supposed to be some of the most important battles in the entire series. But right now, most of them might as well be background characters, bro. And here's what's crazy. We know these guys are supposed to be threats. Like, genuinely speaking, put everything aside. We know that they're supposed to be threats. Like, Oda keeps telling us, yo, they're dangerous. These are dangerous people. Every Titanic captain, yo, they have a devil fruit now. You got to worry about this. They've got specific abilities that seem to be perfect for fighting the Straw Hats. They're organized. They're strategic. But, there's a massive difference between being told someone's dangerous and actually seeing what's going on. And you may be asking, well, video guy, my name's Caleb, by the way. Well, video guy, what do you expect Oda to do now? And honestly, viewer, nothing. I don't have any expectations because he's already shown his hand. We know that Blackbeard's crew could beat Law's crew. That just happened, all right? And they have Garp and Pudding as prisoners. What I would have wanted is that for every large stride that Luffy and the Straw Hats hit, Blackbeard's crew also makes a large stride. Which, to be fair to Blackbeard, he's done a pretty good job when compared to Luffy. Like, that, he's done his job. It's just that Luffy is doing more in general, while Blackbeard is doing a lot for himself, but comparatively not doing as much as his character could, right? When Luffy was starting his journey in East Blue, Blackbeard had killed Thatch and got the Yami Yami no Mi. And when Luffy had finished Eni's lobby, Blackbeard was fighting Ace and winning. Luffy's at Egghead, Blackbeard beat Law and captured Garp. You get the idea, right? Look at how One Piece usually builds up like important characters. Think about someone like Doflamingo, right? We didn't just meet him at Dressrosa and learn everything. We saw him at Marineford. We saw him interacting with, he had Kuma and all that. And we had heard about him through other characters, understood his influence, Punk Hazard, all of this through different arcs. Or, take Kuma. Before we got his full story at Egghead, we had seen him develop from, this, mysterious warlord to someone who is deeply connected to the Revolutionary Army. And, it was like, oh, what the heck is going on in Maryjois? There was a lot happening. And even when he just showed up to blast the Straw Hats away, each appearance added something, largely speaking. Then you have Robin and Law, too. We got to know them piece by piece. Their stories weren't just, dumped on us in one big flashback. We learned about them gradually. We saw different sides of them, understood their motivations over time. And yeah, flashbacks can be good. I'm not completely anti-flashback, all right? Even for characters we know nothing about, like Corazon, that was a completely flashback character. That was fine, but it was great. No one's denying that. But there's a difference between using flashbacks to deepen characters we already know and using them to make us suddenly care about people that we've barely seen. See, what's frustrating is that we've seen how this could work with Jesus Burgess, The guy actually did some reconnaissance, infiltrated the Revolutionary Army, and showed us that he could just be more than muscle. That's the kind of thing we should be seeing from all of them. Imagine if Doc Q just showed up at some point when Chopper was helping people, like Wano or some shit, offering his own take on medicine, because he's a little weirdo, that's the point. Or if Shiryu had some sort of connection to someone from Zoro's past, maybe not Zoro directly, but maybe someone who could tell us about what kind of swordsman he used to be before Impel Down. It doesn't always have to be direct confrontations. Van Augur could have been making impossible shots that people tell Usopp about, like, oh shoot, did you hear about this Van Augur guy? His history is crazy. Lafayette could have left some evidence of infiltration, that Nami or Brook noticed while working. They'd be like, oh shoot, what the heck, they were on our ship. Or just maybe someone else from a different ship being like, yo, I think Lafayette was here. Just something to make these characters feel real and more involved and important before the final battles. Here's the real issue, right? We're getting close to the end, right? It might be like another 8 years or something. It might be a really long time for how long it takes. I don't really care. But we're close to the final end. That's just the case. We're in what Oda calls the final saga, right? So what happens when we finally get to these fights? Because let's be completely real. We're probably gonna get these fights, sure. And the Blackbeard Pirates versus the Straw Hats, it's gonna be inevitable. That's just, what does it mean though? We're going to get either, a bunch of rushed character development right before the fights, a ton of flashbacks during the fights, or, fights that just happen and they're just scrapping without any sort of emotional weight that they should have. And I'm like, it's just a fight between two people. There's been so much time and I'm not and I can't care. That's crazy. And I understand that people are gonna be like, yo, Caleb, but it's gonna be animated well. I do not think that just because something is gonna get animated, that the manga, like, it can't be good. Like, that's ridiculous. Why should we? Oh, the anime is gonna be our saving grace. How many times does that have to happen? I want something that's just good to be good. Why the heck do you think I'm reading it? Well, that's me, you know. And I don't know, all the other options that I've listed, they don't really feel that great, because no matter how good the flashbacks are, because I know people are gonna like the flashbacks, I'm gonna get comments about it later and be like, hey, oh my god, these flashbacks are so raw, they're so cool. I get it, you know, but we've missed out on years of potential buildup. This series has been going on forever, and I don't want to see something like, oh, you know, there was an SBS about it, there was a cover art thing about it. At that point, animate that thing. If you want the anime to be a saving grace, animate an SBS or some bullshit. Like, really, that's really what I want at that point. Because at least we have something to go off of, some sort of reference thing. Because usually the SBSs and those cover stories don't really do anything for my enjoyment of the story. They just exist at that point. There's like a little fun tidbit, and that's about it. What I want, I'm probably not getting, but, you know. Look, I get it. You know, sounds like I'm complaining. I kind of am. You know, realistically, I am. And I get it, but, you know, One Piece has a lot going on. There's tons of characters, tons of plots. And Oda can't develop everyone perfectly. That's perfectly fine. Okay, I get it. I get that people are going to tell me I'm wrong later when insert character here, like Vasco's shot, is like, oh my gosh, his backstory was so good in his fight against Frankie or whatever the heck. And they'll be validated on the character, even though there was so much missing for before. And we're just like, wow, you put this all us on now. And that's exactly why people had issues with Gear 5 and Wano. But, you know, opinions are opinions regardless. It's just that as for right now, it feels like that we've gotten all the pieces that of what could have been happening for the perfect rival crew, this dark mirroring of the Straw Hats. But since they've spent so much time in the shadows, you know, when they finally get out of them, when they step into the light, will anyone actually care truly except for Blackbeard himself? I don't know. The lights might be too bright. Like, imagine they go this whole franchise not fighting, and then they fight for the first time, and then they lose. That's just sad. I mean, I get it. Law versus Blackbeard, the crew and crew. I get it. Yeah, sure, that'll be a reference. Okay, fine. But will they close it out? I don't know. I don't have reason to believe so. Thank you all for watching. If you got thoughts on the Blackbeard Pirates or how you think their story is going to play out, drop them in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I'm still trying to hit that 1K subscriber goal. But until then, peace out and Godspeed.